Now please viewers, if you're new to sim racing then heed my motto, because clearly I don't, and the motto is, just don't go too hard, otherwise this happens. G'day viewers, my name is Michael and welcome back to SingleRacer, and welcome to this new channel challenge as a continuation from the last video, especially say the 20 or 30 last new subscribers, and I hope I can make content that you find enjoyable. And of course, welcome aboard to all the new subscribers. But firstly, just a quick correction that I mistakenly said in my last video, because I implied that when I played the old game Grand Prix Legends, that the Eagle that you see here, the Eagle T1G, was the slowest car in the group. But then the outstanding driver Steen quickly pointed out that it was one of the 4 fastest cars, and I was trying to think, why did I have the impression that it was the slowest car in the group? And I think, to be honest, it was because just because I was a shit driver at the time and I wasn't able, with my ability, to get the best out of the car. So to me it seemed like the slowest, but maybe it was just my poor handling of the car. And I must say that when I look back at my improvement, my very slow improvement when I used to race at home on the PC, just how much people like Steen and Ferrari Man 601 and many others have improved my driving by watching their abilities, and I've gained so much more knowledge because of that fact. And so what I have for you today is another channel challenge, and that is a follow-on from the last video, and that's because in the last video I had a race with the other cars, but the other cars tend to balk you a lot, and so I could never really get going. And I have to say on that fact that to me this is the best track I've ever driven. But now, just before I explain what I actually mean by that, and I'll show an external replay just to explain what I mean, I just want to acknowledge my last channel challenge, and that's because it was a bit of fun. The idea of these channel challenges, of course, other than for other people to have a go and see if they can beat my time, is actually just to present to you what I talked about before, which is either a car or a track you might not have driven before, or just the combo of the car and track. And quite often you can get a car you really like that you've driven before many times, but you've just never driven it on this particular track. And so I just want to present you with that. And the last channel challenge, 2 drivers actually took me up on the challenge, and so I just want to acknowledge them very quickly. And so the last channel challenge was the Lotus 49 on the classic version of the Fuji Speedway 1968, and 2 drivers beat my time, and they are Charles Holden, aka Chuck Does HOTLAPS, and I hope I have that right, Charles, and also HubTub. Now, they beat my time, but what I did is one lazy Sunday afternoon is I was determined to get it back, and I swear I tried all afternoon, probably 20 to 30 goes, and I tried and I tried and I tried, and as you can see here, I finally just beat Charles Holden, and I'm talking only just, but Chuck Does HOTLAPS said in a comment that he felt he could do a 141, and given how long it took me to beat his time, I have no doubt about that whatsoever, and I'm sure he just didn't have enough time to spend getting a better time. But congratulations, HubTub, you are the winner of the previous challenge, and well done. And now on to today's challenge. So why do I think that this track, which is the 1966 version of Spa, is the best track that I've ever driven? Well, two reasons really. One is because it was my favourite track from an old game I used to play called Grand Prix Legends, or GPL as some people know it. But the second reason is a personal one, and that's because I think there are, and again this is a personal opinion, but I think there are two better tracks, and the two better tracks to me are the LA Canyons, absolutely brilliant, by Phoenix 77 over at Phoenix Racing, and of course the Nordschleife. But they are both very technical tracks in that they take a long time to master, a long time to learn, and they can be exhausting to get right. Now, not to say that this track isn't exhausting, but what I find with this track is it suits my personal choice in what I like in a track, which is fast and flowing. And the difference between this track is, what happens is once so the general scenario is you crash, you might even rage quit, but what happens is you start to realise where you need to position the car, and that's all it is. And once you know where to position the car, you stop changing down gears twice and just change down once, and you fly through the corners. And I'm hoping you can see here a little bit by the external replay that when you unlock where you need to be and you no longer crash, for me personally, it is the most exhilarating track that I have ever driven. And I love the Nordschleife and LA Canyons, but for just sheer joy, tied in with the Grand Prix Legends cars that Bazza and Dr. doomsLab have created, it is utter joy. So let me take you now to a live hot lap. So I'll be trying to break my previous best time, and let me show you how enjoyable that can be, but once you unlock the secret of where you need to be on the track. Okay viewers, so it was my original intention to drive the Honda RA300, and that was because I featured it in the last video. But when Steen told me that the Eagle here is so quick, or one of the 4 fastest cars in the game, I just thought I had to try it and see if my YouTube knowledge of driving skill has improved enough to beat or to maximize the speed that the car has. Now, I want to stress again, the track itself is genuinely hard, but only hard in the sense that you crash a lot because you need to learn where to position the car. But once you do, technically it's quite an easy track once you know where to position the car. So, meaning that the track has a couple of S sections in it, left and right corners, but they can be very difficult when you don't know where to place the car. But once you do, it's even those 2 most difficult corners on the track are fairly easy once you understand the positioning. Now, the channel challenge is open to complete slather, so you can tune it as much as you like. Now, I'm not very experienced in setup, so I'll just run you through the basics of what I change in the car itself. So what I do is I up the gears so that it's the maximum speed it can be in the final gear ratio down the longest straights. I drop the tyre pressures by 2. That's just a personal choice, as I feel it gives better grip when the tyres warm up. I lower the fuel. I just pick 13 because that's a standard figure I use for the Nordschleife. There's no real science behind it. And what I do is I up the engine limiter to get its maximum power, but you've got to be careful when you're changing gears, because you can actually damage the motor and you can over rev the motor. And again, brake bias I've always put up to the next round figure of, in this case, 60. And I think that's more psychological. I do it, but I don't know if it has any real effect on the car, but I just, in my brain, it just makes me drive better for whatever reason. So, and now with these settings, I've used these settings for every single car in the Grand Prix Legends car pack from Bazza, and I'll have a link, of course, in the description. But one of the things that I wanted to mention was they all tend to be around the same speed. So my average speed for most of the cars is either 340 or 339, and two of the slowest cars, which are the Lotus 33 and the Matra Ford, are around the 346 and 348 respectively. So they're my times. I'm usually, because of the newness of both this mod track and these edition of the cars, I tend to be the only one with a time on here. The only time that I've found is Steen, and Steen I just can't catch. He's just too good for me. So you're welcome to do any setup you like, any way to get the speed out of the car. But what I really want to show you more than anything is the joy of this track. Not just these cars, but take any car, and if you can unlock where to position the car, and I'll talk about that as I do the lap, this is the most exhilarating track to me that I've ever driven. So I'll show you that now, and I hope you enjoy the run. Okay, so I'm going to do a flying lap. This is live, in other words, with the ghost car. And one very important thing before I take off is there's, I believe it's an orange line that indicates between the track and the pits on the right hand side. Do not even slightly touch that orange line with your right wheel, because if you do, it's deemed that you're going into the pits and you'll be forced down to 40 or whatever the speed limit is. So especially on the end of the lap, if you turn this corner and touch that line, your whole lap will be ruined. So just keep that in mind. So let's go for this incredible flying lap. Okay folks, so let's go for a flying lap of Spa 1966. And this is just so exhilarating. Let's go. And remember that orange line, there it is. You just don't want to touch it or you'll be forced to slow down. Now I slow down a little bit early just to try and balance the car up there, because all these cambers are off. All these corners, I should say, are off camber, and they want to throw you off the track, and you've got to allow for that. And most corners you usually change down one gear, except for this corner. You feel you have to when you first get onto the track, but then you realise you don't. But in this one I have to change down in two, but that's just me, because I like to balance the car up. Here we go, see, it wants to slide. There's that off camber. Whoa, it is just so much fun. And here I was holding fourth, but you can change up to fifth if you just ease off. That's it, you ease off to get traction. And there's my ghost car, so I eased off just a bit too much. But here I was changing down to fourth because it's so sharp. But you can hold fifth, there's a little bump, there it is, and now you change down to fourth, that's it. And you keep the power, you go to change up, but see here it tightens a bit, and here's the first S-bend. So you've got to know where to position the car. See, and you can get through it like that. That's it. Oh, it's so exhilarating. And now we just fly up to fifth and just fly down this straight. Absolutely incredible feeling. And now here we come to the second S-bend, but this is a bit sharper. So I change down, I go over to the right here, balance myself up, change down. Oh, just, I know it's coming there. Oh, just hanged onto it then. Or just hung onto it, I should say. Oh, this is just so thrilling. Now, this is a very sharp corner, so you have to change down twice again. I look for the 200 marker. There it is. Change down, balance the car, change down again, and I try and get right over to those hay bales. That's it. And this keeps getting tighter and tighter, so you might have to change down to the next gear like I did just then. Hang on to it, absolutely thrilling. Wait till it goes red and then change up again, just awesome. This track is just so awesome. And again, I changed down here, but you don't have to, you just can hold it. And you can kind of hold it here, but just ease off a little bit, that's it. But the next one you have to change down, you actually have to prepare for, so change down, that's it. Let the revs drop a bit and get through that corner, because you just can't take it at full speed, or at least I can't. Change up, and there we go again. Just thrilling, it's so flowing and fast, it's just awesome. This would be awesome in any car, I believe. Now I changed down to fourth because again off camber, see the ghost car trying to slide off the track, and change down again because this is even tighter. Hang on to it, Nick. Oh boy, it's so thrilling. It's very tough, there's no question it's tough. And here again I was changing down, but you don't have to. There's my ghost car sliding, and down 2 gears for this final hairpin, or 3 gears I should say. Oh, and I mucked that up. And there we go. And there's a flying lap of Spa. What an awesome track. Now, here's my time. Check out my... Oh, no, it's actually been beaten. Holy crap, it's been beaten by Tobias. Oh, well, I tell you what, all that talking means I can't really focus. So let's try for another flying lap and see if I can beat that time, but this time without the talking. Hang on, folks. Okay, folks, so let's do one more flying lap of Spa, this time with a little less talking and a bit more focus. And let's chase down that ghost car and get the #1 spot back. And just check out Sidekick to see if I'm up or down. Good start. Right out through this. Right here, balloon. This corner just flying into it. Hang on to it. No, I didn't do that right. Man, this is so exhilarating. Bazza and Dr. doomsLab have just done a brilliant job with these cars. Oh, we've caught the ghost car. Okay. I love how you dance on the throttle with these cars to just keep them on the edge. Still up though, and gaining. Wants to kick you out. Oh yes, gained a ton of time there now. Hit this clean. That's nice. Don't touch that orange line, whatever you do. Did we get it? Did we get it? I think we did.
Well done. Brilliant choice. That's a world record.
World record, yes, 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 well done. There you go, Single Racer on top, we should be here. I'm just kidding, of course, plenty of people will beat me, but geez, that was enjoyable. And don't think that this track is only for these classic Grand Prix Legends cars. There for any car you like. Just have a go. It's so exhilarating, and check out that what looks like a hippie girl from here, but let me show you her up close, because it's quite amazing that here she looks like she's got heaps of dreadlocks, and you've got the old VW camper van, typical the bus or whatever it's called, you know, that classic old car. But let me show you her up close now as I say goodbye. So this is Single Racer, an exhausted Single Racer signing out. I'll catch you next time. See you later. Oh, see, I've completely mucked up my whole exit. Let's try that again. My name is Single Racer. I'll catch you next time. See you later. Now just very quickly folks, in case you think I'm being just a bit sexist by showing a pretty girl as if she's waiting for me because I'm such a great sim racing driver. No, in fact, she's one of the next sim racing drivers, and she's just waiting for Steen to see how a real driver handles this track. Okay, see you later.